Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the Left Turn podcast. And I have with me today Alba Molteni. I knew I wasn't going to say it right. Sorry, my Spanish is like non-existent. Anyway, we got some stuff from her website. Since I was little, I've always been restless. I really like that opening line. I climbed trees, searched for fossils in the mountains or snails in the sea. The earth always welcomed me and showed me everything is in constant movement and change. The earth taught me that nothing is permanent, but if I was present in the moment, I could intensely enjoy the moment without regretting its passing. I think that's just lovely, how much you learn from nature. For a long time, I felt alienated by social preferences and conventions. I learned to fit in, but there was always that subtle energy reminding me that I was different. So she graduated with a degree in international relations, spent 10 years in the corporate world, studied different things, and then she found access consciousness. I have traveled to more than 20 countries, participating in different roles in more than 400 classes. That's impressive. Exploring so many different practices. I stick with access because I haven't found anything so fast and effective yet. So if you're ready to hop on your own rocket and get more out of life, join Alba. That's awesome, Alba. Welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Okay, so what are some of the big left turns that you've made in your life?
I think leaving the corporate world might have been one of the ones that I have more clear. Of course, there's been different ones, but leaving corporate, not knowing what I was going to do, but just knowing that what I was doing was not really working for me. I was getting bored out of my mind. And it was just a question, actually, that started like nagging at my brain. And was like, before I chose to be in this planet, did I chose to be here to do what I'm doing? And it was just a question that started to bubble up and bubble up and bubble up.
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not sure I was not looking at the life that I have right now. And so, different things started popping in my world. I got a massage and I laid down and like cried a river. And I was like, I don't think this is normal. I don't think people cry only because they're getting a massage. And the body worker was explaining me like your body can be releasing a lot of stuff without you noticing, like how much of what's going on in the back of your head is actually being expressed through the tears that you're releasing in this. And I was like, okay, maybe I should really start looking at something different, because if I am being that sad without me really noticing that I am this sad, then something definitely needs to change. And so since I was super bored in my job, I just quit it. I created a situation where I was able to negotiate the leave of my company, and I was able to get enough money to leave for 2 years. And I started exploring many different therapies. Yeah. And after 2 years, I found access, and here we are 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any kind of pushback for any of the choices that you made, whether as a child or later on?
Well,
your coworkers?
When I quit my job, people were super surprised that they were like, you had a pretty good job. You were one of the top 8 in the generation. You were able to travel. You were able to support also your parents. Like, why did you leave? Like the uncertainty of finding a new job and the scarcity of employment in Mexico, at least in the level that I was working, was very high. So they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know that that was not a life.
Yeah.
And I think people, when they heard me like I was miserable, they kind of backed down. They were like, okay, well, I guess that your happiness is also something that needs to be included in your life. And I'm like, wouldn't you think that that's like the basic thing that we should all be looking at? And apparently people have more of a priority with the responsibility that they have created in their lives, and they think that they don't have choice. And I mean, I guess I was lucky in a way, because it's only been me. Like, I'm not married, I don't have children. So that made things more simple, in the sense that I was like, I know that I have me, and I know that I'm the one that is living my life. I'm not affecting anyone else, even though I was in a relationship and we were together, but he supported that as well. And he also actually took a left turn a few months later. So it was good. I had that support that I also needed. But I knew that I couldn't just carry on with the life that I was having at that point. And I've always been, weird, and I've always been different.
Were you weird as a child?
Totally. I was going to say, since I was a child, all my cousins were like, you're very different. Like, you're very weird. And funny enough, my mom had 6 sisters.
Wow.
Well, she had 6, one brother and 5 sisters. And they all lived like more or less close to each other, in the same, very close, in the same cities in Mexico. And we were the only ones that we were never close. We were like 3 hours away by plane. And so we moved a lot. So I had a different culture. When you're raised in the north of Mexico, you don't feel as Mexican as the rest of them. You actually feel like half American, half Mexican.
Interesting.
Because, we use the language a lot. We go to the US a lot. Every weekend, we would just drive into San Diego and we would purchase stuff that we liked. So we spend a lot of time out there. And even though I cannot say that I feel American, I do notice that it was very close to me. It was easy to engage with American people. All of my jobs were made with American companies, without me really noticing, or without me really choosing that consciously. But I didn't have the same morals. I didn't have the same points of views. I remember talking with my cousins when they were like 15 and 17, and they were already like getting ready to get married, and they already knew like what kind of guy would they like, how many children were they gonna have.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, there's something broken in me, because I would never say in 2 years I'm gonna be ready or have an idea. I was like, how can you know? Like, how can you know who are you gonna marry? And like, I know that you can have preferences, but having that energy of certainty, like this is gonna happen. And I know that I also chose a dad that was French, that he married 4 times. So I didn't have this ideal of the Mexican perfect family with children and the picket fence and whatever. We also have our own version of that. And for me, it was like, no, I want to live. I want to meet a lot of people. I want to see the world. I want to be with different people. And I remember when I told my dad the first time that I was dating, that I loved the guy that I was with, he asked me very, very seriously. He was like, have you had sex with him? And I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, so you cannot really tell me that you love him until you have sex. Come back to me when you have sex. If that goes okay, then you come to me and tell me that you love him. Otherwise, I don't think you know what love is. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting point of view. I would have never considered it. My mom, of course, was like, oh, because I was like maybe like 17 or 18. And they were very opposite sides, the way of they looked at things.
Yes.
I was way more closed down and moral, and my dad was like, he was French, so he didn't have that point of view.
It sounds like you had, in an odd way, a lot of support for being weird growing up.
Totally.
That most people don't have, actually.
Yeah. My parents were, I think they were also aware that they themselves were different.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have lots of points of view about how I needed to turn out. Like, what did I need to choose? What did I have to leave? They were like, it's your life, you know.
Wow. So you didn't have a lot of pressure to be this, get married, have this job, do that.
Never.
Awesome.
Never. I think it was more from the outside world, but my parents were like, this is what they were always so engaged with nature. I think that was, I mean, even my bio says it, but
yeah.
I think that they were more in tune with the nature world than with the people world. And so that made our lifestyle completely different. When I was a kid, every weekend we would go to the mountains and we were looking for fossils, or we would go fishing, or we would go just playing in the beach, or we would go to the woods and walk. It was more like
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's that energy of nature is much more of a energy with no judgment, with be in the moment, with be present.
Even without them noticing that that's what they were choosing. I think they didn't really choose it from the point of view, like, this is what you're supposed to do, or this is like kind of meditating, so we're going to do it. It was just like, this is what we enjoy. This is what we like. This is what we, And they've always pressured, like when we were in the house, we would always see documentaries about the Serengeti in Africa and Iceland and Antarctica. And there was always like the animals and the stars. So they were always, I mean, if you would look at my house when I was growing up, you would always find fossils, minerals, and books. That's the three things that they were all over my place. And they really enjoy that. So I think without them really having a structure underneath, they knew that that was way more expansive than whatever other things parents chose. That I don't know what they chose because I didn't have them. I had mine.
Right, exactly. Do you still get out in nature much?
A lot. I enjoy it. I was just in Quito. I just landed last night, and we took an extra day to go to the second tallest volcano that they have. It's called Cotopaxi. And it's almost 6,000 meters high, which is very high. We didn't go, of course, we didn't climb to the top. You would need to do a 3-month training to be able to do that.
And oxygen, that's really high.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted your body to be able to enter it and have ease with no oxygen, with no extra support, 3 months of climbing, it would work. But it was lovely. I mean, every time that I have the opportunity to be anywhere else in the world besides Mexico City or the outside of Mexico City, because as you can see, I do not live in the city. Right. I do not live in the city. And it's also something that my body has shown me. My body has been the one that has shown me like the space that actually exists when you're willing to receive it. So for example, I'm super oriented. It doesn't matter if I've been in the city or not have been in the city, my body always finds either good restaurants or amazing nature paths. I'm always more attuned and finding if I'm staying at a hotel or in an Airbnb, there's always like this, oh, go figure, the park is nearby. It's like, no, my body was always having that awareness or that energy of including nature in daily life. I adore it. I think that's like 80% of the reason that I chose to be here, It's such an amazing planet. We live in such a beautiful place.
We do. Well, and also you didn't seem to get all those messages that bodies are bad things or, all that kind of spirituality of.
No, but I didn't get that, but I did get the Mexican side of like not showing up. Like I was always doing sports. I always did sports since I was 3 years old. So I was very fit for most of my life. And when I started, growing boobs and having an ass and whatever, my mom would be like, what if you use something that is a bit more loose, or don't use a waistline, or, like she would try to cover it, and she would be like, it's more proper if you use, like, don't show your belly button or stuff like that. And she was also very afraid that I would get knocked up before I had choice. And so she was always like this energy of like, don't do it until you're super sure. She never preached like, don't do it until you get married. I think she was aware that I wasn't really choosing that path since I was very young, but she was also very scared for me that I would choose something that would give me no choice in the matter. Because for my mom, having an abortion simply did not work. That was no, that was the most terrible thing that you could ever do. Why would you ever choose that? So she even told me once, hey, if you actually get pregnant, just have it and then hand it over to me. I can raise them. And I'm like, thank you, but no, thank you. No, I'm good. But I'll see what I do.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
So how have things changed since you got into Access?
Like everything.
That's a big left turn.
Yeah, that was a super big left turn. The thing that I treasure the most about Access is the clarity and the pragmatic of it, of the tools. Like you don't need to wait for a full moon. You don't need to be aligned with the stars. You don't need to wait for better times. It's always this constant awareness that you always have choice and you're always aware. And for me, funny enough, the first time that I heard that 99% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions did not belong to us, I was like, someone hit them in the head very bad. And I don't think it healed properly. Like, what do you mean? That was the thing that I resisted the most. I was like, I don't, what do you mean? I didn't get it. And for like 6 months, I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm just carrying on and I'm going to look for something else. But then, I don't know, maybe consciousness was like whispering like, but what if it really is like that? And so I started noticing the places that I was being aware of someone else or something else. And when I started to look at those moments, I started to notice that they were not random. They were very constant in my life. And so like, well, it is true that when I'm in a concert, my mood and my energy would be totally attuned to the music, the melody, and everyone else's points of view about that song. If it was a happy song, all of us would be happy. It was a sad song, you would just, sort through your miserable life and see what the latest thing that made you hurt, and you would start crying like a Latino, and I was like, maybe that's what they mean. Maybe that's what they mean, that it's not only the mood swings, it's also like the things that you think about. And that started dissolving something very different in me. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is what I was looking for. That information is the one that I was looking for, because I didn't understand how the world worked.
Right.
And that was the nagging thing that kept me looking for something different. I was like, I really want to understand or get the hang of how could I have a much happier life? How can I be even more, and not, like not from the energy of like, I want to become more, or I want to be perfect. It was more from the energy of, I just want to be happier. I want to have an easier life. I don't want to struggle anymore. I know that that's if it was a sport, maybe Mexicans would be champions in the world of struggling. And I was done with that. I was like, maybe I don't want to be Mexican anymore. Maybe I just want to have a different life, a different kind of a being. And it's been such an amazing adventure. I mean, I've traveled literally the world and met so many people with different backgrounds, with different cultures, with different ways of being. But at the end of the day, we really are one. We just don't
Yes.
notice it in the way that we think we should.
Yeah. So when you're traveling, are you giving classes? And I didn't even talk about what you do in facilitating or anything. So what do you do?
Well, I do facilitate, and maybe for the first 8 years on Access, it wasn't a priority for me. And then talking about noticing that you're different, I was like, actually the earth, because I've been facilitating a class that is called Your Body, the Earth, Your Body, and You.
Oh, neat.
And that energy of like really noticing the similarities that these three things have, and being able to flow in a different way and not clash and not go against and not judge either the earth, your body, and you, has been very fun. And it's only been the last 2 years that I've really focused myself in creating different classes. I'm a Talking to the Entities facilitator, and I'm a Right Riches for You facilitator. But I do play with Access in many different ways. I'm an online host, and I translate, which is a completely different energy. It's fun to be able to do things in a different way.
Yes.
And also notice how different I am depending on what I'm doing, or the role that I have that I'm creating. Yeah, I've been in Latin America. I taught classes in Argentina, in Uruguay, in Colombia, in Ecuador. I went to Venezuela some years ago. It's fun. Yeah, I love it.
It sounds fun. You know what, Alba, actually, it just seems like since you were born, you're kind of a walking left turn. You've always had that, which I think is just wonderful. Really.
Thank you.
You never got stuck with any of it. If you had one piece of advice or suggestion or question for people who are listening, what would it be?
I think that was the energy that you were showing at that when we started, like really trusting that
Yeah.
that deep down you do know. And even though you don't have the full picture, I would say don't wait to have the full picture and for you to choose something that you would like. Don't wait. Don't wait to have everything settled. Don't wait for every street light to be green. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the age that you think your kids need to be for you to choose something that creates more for your life. Don't wait. Like really prioritize yourself.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining this podcast, Alba.
Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.